Hey everyone, this is Ryan Wolt. Welcome to the Cheers North County podcast presented by the Coast News Group. This is the very first episode of 2021. We made it. Oh my goodness, we made it. Bye 2020. This is also the very first episode of Season 3 of the Cheers North County podcast, and I'm not sure how that's even possible, but it is. And I'm going to run with it because, as we've learned over the past year, there are no rules in podcasting. This year, we have a new sponsor on the Cheers North County podcast. Casa de Bandini at the Forum in Carlsbad has stepped up to the plate. They are open for takeout and delivery, and you can order online at casadebandini.com. You could also order through a delivery app, but I will tell you, as someone who has spent a large portion of his life in the restaurant business, that it helps so much more when you order directly from the business so that they don't have to give up a huge chunk of that revenue. At Casa de Bandini, you can get all of the fresh, authentic flavors of Mexico that you love at home, along with a delicious takeout margarita. And they've partnered with the Coast News to give away $50 gift cards for some of that great food. Just follow at Coast News and at Casa de Bandini on Instagram, and then like, share, and tag a friend or a dozen friends as soon as you see the giveaway post in your feed. Today's guest is a huge get for this show. Honestly, I don't know that I've seen him do any other interviews in my entire life. The one and only Santa Claus is joining me today. He called in early on the morning of the 25th, and I was shocked. I was still in bed when he called, but I got up, I made time for him. He was making a quick stop for coffee, beer, and tacos here in San Diego after doubling back from his final stop in Honolulu. He said it had been a long day, that it started way out past Australia on Christmas Island, and then moving back in our direction, staying one step ahead of all the time zones through Melbourne, Seoul, New Delhi, Moscow, Baghdad, Minsk, Cairo, Oslo, Rome, Reykjavik, over the ocean to Rio de Janeiro, New York City, Toronto, Madison, Denver, San Francisco, finally to the Hawaiian Islands, before swinging back through San Diego and heading up to the North Pole. I'm still a little starstruck even now. I mean, it's Santa Claus. A tired and somewhat cranky Santa, but still. And now, since I know you're already multitasking on your phones, please give me a follow at Cheers North County on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, or head over to thecoastnews.com to read the newest Cheers North County column, where I asked Karl Strauss brewmaster Paul Segura why on earth he decided to put grapes in this year's holiday seasonal. This one goes to 11 Imperial Red Ale. And since I'm throwing chores out, be sure to grab yourself a pint or a mimosa while you listen, because I will remind you, it is New Year's Day 2021. And now, it's time for the show. And it's Santa Claus. Well, I gotta say, Santa, it's great to hear from you. Is it Santa, or do you prefer that I call you like Saint Nick or Chris or something?
Pretty much whatever you want to call me at this point. It's been a long year. And you can call me Susan if it makes you feel better.
I think that I'll call you Santa just because that's what I feel comfortable with, and I appreciate you accommodating that. I'd like to say thanks for joining me on the Cheers North County podcast. I was thrilled to find out you'd be here in North County, San Diego this morning. I have to ask, what are you doing here in North County, San Diego? I figured you'd be on your way home, or you'd be, eyes deep in a pint of beer by now after a long Christmas Eve and Christmas morning.
Well, I wouldn't say I haven't had a pint yet, but I have been up for a long time, and I'm traveling, starting off just past Australia and heading past every country from Moscow and Baghdad, Rome, Cairo. My brain's kind of all over the place from being everywhere and running into Krampus and dealing with Ebenezer, and just it's been a long day going everywhere. So, after doing Europe and heading across the drink over to South America and stopping at, Rio de Janeiro, and I have to make some sort of pit stop in Jamaica to New York, Canada, over to San Francisco, and then finishing finally out in Hawaii. And quite frankly, that's one of my favorite places actually to stop and do some vacationing time out there. So after I finish that up, I come back to San Diego. It's my favorite places to grab a couple goods to run up back to the North Pole for our kind of a post-Christmas party that the old Mrs. Claus gets together for me and all the elves and the reindeer.
That's really interesting. You said you're picking up some goods. What is it that you're coming back to San Diego for?
Some of there's a lot of great products here. Then at some point, it's just convenience for traveling 12 trillion miles today and stopping at every house and delivering some gifts. One-stop shop, grabbing some little-known fact, tacos are the elves' favorite food. So doing a quick run by Casa de Bandini, I want to grab some coffee. Zoom Bar's usually my go-to establishment for a quick espresso bump, which I need after these long days, and then stopping to get beer. I don't think there's a better place to grab beer than San Diego.
I agree with that for sure. I mean, I have this show because of beer in San Diego. You said espresso. Is it always espresso, or you ever drink anything fancier than that?
There's pretty much nothing coffee oriented that I'm going to turn down. We got some long days up at the North Pole, so anything to give me that extra little bump. I definitely do a lot of quad espressos, but if somebody sees Santa Claus and they're willing to get me a peppermint stick, full fat, soy milk, extra cream, extra sprinkles, whatever they have, I'm willing to drink it and help celebrate that. I do have a bit of a sweet tooth. There's quite a bit of candy canes around the factory year round.
Now that I'm thinking about it, are you telling me that you stop and you walk into Zoom Bar, or you walk into a coffee shop and you're in the suit and you've got the sleigh? People don't recognize you when you're out?
I kind of just walk around in plain sight. You'd be amazed. I mean, how many Santa Clauses do you see? We're all over the place. Most people just assume that I work at the mall. I got asked if I was Billy Bob Thornton's double once from Bad Santa. I mean, come on. There's a lot of people out there that had some selfies with the real Santa Claus. They just don't know it. And I'm fine with that.
That's pretty wild, but don't you also have reindeer? I mean, you'd think that'd be pretty noticeable in the parking lot at Zoom Bar.
Well, I've seen some weird things at the parking lot of Zoom Bar, let me tell you. But reindeer are not one of them. At this point in time, it's been centuries. The reindeer are pretty much retired now. Everybody other than Blitzen, he's kind of always been there for me from the start. So he comes out for old time's sakes and helps out where he can. The sled's been upgraded, as Elon likes to call it. It's a test sleigh now, running on Tesla batteries. He reached out after some SpaceX became pretty efficient, and we came up with a plan to kind of redesign the sleigh and some upgrades and a little more environmental conscious ways to move the sleigh around and all the goods in there. So thankfully the reindeer don't need to really do anything anymore. And like I said, Blitzen comes along for the ride. He hangs out in the cargo bay prepping gifts with a couple of my high-ranking elves, McAllister, McLean. They're both always up there doing some work, getting stuff done and packaging of goods for the next stops.
Very cool. It seems like you have a real focus kind of on energy efficiency, this Tesla collaboration. Are you still putting coal in the stockings of bad kids? I mean, coal's got kind of a bad rap right now.
Yeah, so, a couple years ago, we started, toying with a couple of different ideas and figuring out what to do. So we pretty much just take garbage and put it in there now and let these guys compost it instead of coal. At least then we can, take some of the energy from those bad attitudes and turn it into some healthy plant.
That's very, very forward thinking of you, Santa. I know I only got a few minutes here with you, and I've got kind of a bunch of questions. Do you mind if I just start shouting some out at you?
You start shouting all you want. Everybody yells when they see me, Santa Claus!
The first one is I was on a very big, knowing that I was going to be talking to you, I went on kind of a Santa deep dive, a rabbit hole on the internet, and I saw a rumor that you've got some beef with Jeff Bezos. True or false?
Oh, that couldn't be anywhere far from the truth. Very false. Jeffrey, as I like to call him. He's a big go-getter. He's got big ideas. They're the second best delivery service on the planet. I'm on the advisor board for their operations. We actually met on the Amazon River. That's how he named that whole thing. Everyone's out to be the next big Santa, but you can't hold back big dreams. Somebody can do my job better than me. Let's do it together and get it done.
Thinking about this relationship you have with Amazon and Tesla, what about other things that like kids find under the tree? Like if they open up an iPhone, like, is that because you have a deal with iPhones? Do you make iPhones, or how does those connections work? There are no connections
or benefits. We don't do business strictly with anybody. We don't make products for anybody specific. And we tend to do our best to get the gifts underneath the trees that people are asking for. If everyone is asking for an iPhone, then everyone's going to get an iPhone. If everybody wants a basketball, everyone's going to get a basketball. It's I can't control what's popular out there and what people want. We just do our best to get them what they want.
You mentioned earlier that you've been around and Blitzen's been around for centuries and you've been doing this job a long time. So one thing I've been kind of wondering, and I can't find an answer anywhere, is, are you immortal?
Well, I'm not dead yet.
Are you saying you don't know if you're immortal?
There's a lot of things I don't know. There's a lot of things I do know. But, when we first started off, there was more than one Santa. This was a family operation. There were 4 of us brothers when we first started doing this. And everybody managed a different part of the world and delivered to a different part of the world. There were 2 of us in the North Pole, 2 of us down in the South Pole. After a while, the population in the northern half of the globe started to grow more than the southern half. And, as brothers be, they wanted to kind of get a little more of the action that we were doing. So there became to be a little bit of encroachment on our turf. And if there's one thing I will say, uninvited encroachment is not advisable with the army of elves and the reindeer we have. We got into a little bit of I wouldn't say a scuffle, but, Santa had to lay the smack down a little bit, kind of Texas Ranger style, and things got a little hairy after that. One brother just immediately said, fine, I don't want anything to do with this. He moved to Scottsdale. He runs one of those golf arcades where you drink beer and hit golf balls with a big screen. He's happy. Good for him. Another brother left a note saying, hey, I met a girl. I got to go. And he just took off. Do you know what he gets for Christmas this year? Garbage. So hopefully he's composting like everybody else.
So that sounds like it leaves just the 2 of you, that there would still be 2 brothers left. So is there another Santa flying around tonight doing half the job, or is it just you now?
No, my brother Ralphie runs the brewery up at the North Pole now. He left the rest of the work with me. With the new sleigh and new technology, it's become a little bit of an easier job to do on my own. I leave it up to him to brew the good beer that I drink, and he leaves it up to me to work 364 days out of the year.
That's quite the story, Santa. You just mentioned the brewery, so I want to ask this real quick. What kind of beer are you guys brewing up there?
It's pretty cold up there, so you're not going to see too much lagers and pilsners. We do a lot of barrel aging. That is definitely my preferred style of beer. I used to, before San Diego became really popular, my last stop used to be flying all the way back over to Europe and going to Belgium and picking up some Belgian Christmas beers to take back up north. But as palates change and flavor profile changes, and quite frankly, the elves are really digging IPAs, I stopped down here in San Diego to pick a bunch of beer up here and take up north.
We're glad to have you stop here, obviously, and also just helping out small businesses by picking up some beer to take up to the North Pole. I mean, it's a heck of a story. I mean, I haven't seen you do a lot of interviews. Why are you sharing that all with us here at the Cheers North County podcast now?
You asked me the question about being immortal. I don't know if I'm immortal, but somebody's going to need to fill these big boots sooner or later. So we started an internship. We're looking for some energetic young folks to kind of help with operations. You got to like eggnog. That's the only mandatory box you need to check out. Maybe one of these interns someday gets to become Santa Claus. I don't know how much more work I got in me. My knees are shoddy. My arms are shoddy. I'd like to spend a little more time with Mrs. Claus, traveling, not in a Santa suit, and just get to enjoy everything that I see. The internship's open to anyone. Anybody can be Santa Claus if you got the right spirit. And of course, yes, it's paid. You get plenty of Christmas cookies, all you can eat. Every month you get beer from the brewery. We'll get you on the North Pole health care plan, which is huge. It's universal health care.
Wow, that's amazing. I'd imagine that's why the turnover is probably so low.
We got elves that just will pretty much stay here forever. I'm starting to think those little guys are immortal as well.
Well, Santa, I know you got to run. I appreciate your time. I just wanted to give you one last chance. Is there anything else you want to say to the listeners of the Cheers North County podcast? Anything else that you want to say that's just a message from Santa?
Yeah, be good to one another. Not just for me, for Santa, but just because. Drink good beer, support your locals, get takeout, and please tip heavy. Cheers. and happy holidays.
Honestly, I am shaking a bit right now. I have been wanting to meet Santa since I got a He-Man Castle Grayskull Masters of the Universe playset when I was 10. And I know for a fact that my parents didn't put it under that tree because I stayed up all night long hiding in the living room. I only fell asleep for a moment, which was clearly when he must have come by because someone ate the cookies I left out, and my parents had made it very clear to me that they didn't think my 10-year-old cooking efforts were that great, so it must have been Santa. A big thank you to him, Santa Claus, for joining the show today, and for supporting our show sponsor, Casa dei Bandini, which was weirdly convenient, and for encouraging us all to support local. I feel like of all the cities I have lived, and it has been quite a few, none really come out to support local and shop local like San Diego. Hospitality businesses, our breweries, restaurants, distilleries, wineries, cafes, and coffee roasters have really just been riding a COVID roller coaster. But like a COVID roller coaster where Lisa Simpson is kicking in their direction the entire time. For the businesses that are out there trying to stay compliant with the health order, thank you. It has probably been a doubly hard road. And if as you were listening you got into the mood for some takeout, for a beer, or you're just looking to buy some fresh coffee beans, I hope you look to those businesses in your own neighborhood to support. I promise you the dollars you spend locally will have an impact and will be appreciated. I've been there, behind the bar, wandering the dining room. I've been there plenty of times where a needed sale came in and I had to go into the office and give a little fist pump and a thank you just because it felt so good to know that we were providing a service that could stick around a little longer. The next Cheers North County podcast will be coming out in a few weeks. David and Ryan, the founders of First Light Coffee Whiskey based right here, will be joining me. And throughout this year, we'll continue to bring you interviews with interesting people doing interesting things in North County, San Diego, and with a few fun new tricks this year. That's all for this episode. Thank you for listening and making this a fun adventure to go on. I'm looking forward to sharing a bunch of Cheers North County content with you all. A big thank you again to Santa and to the Coast News Group for offering me this platform. Be sure to follow the Coast News on Instagram so you can win one of those Casa dei Bandini gift cards and get yourself some fine food and drink. And if you enjoyed this show, or any of our shows, and you want to support the podcasting efforts or the independent journalism brought to you by the Coast News Group, consider becoming a monthly supporter. Just click the support button on our podcast homepage at thecoastnews.com. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, please consider leaving a rating and review, preferably if you've enjoyed the show. It really helps people find a local show like this one. This episode of the Cheers North County podcast was produced and recorded by me, Ryan Wolt. Jordan Ingram is my editor-in-chief. The Coast News associate publisher is Chris Kidd, and the publisher is Jim Kidd. Thanks for listening, everyone. Be well, stay healthy and sane, and keep living the dream. Cheers, everyone. It's 2021.